Hey guys, I've got a fantastic guy coming up, and everybody on the call is awesome. This guy, man, he's larger than life. Literally, if you stand beside him, you look like this. Oh, Nathan, when I say you're a pain in the neck, brother, that's more about me than you, because I got to look up to you. That's it. He's a professional athlete, a peak performance coach. Nathan is a keynote and motivational speaker focused on purpose, passion, and potential. He's an entrepreneur and owns his own martial arts gyms across Arkansas. He is a badass, let me tell you. He lives a life dedicated to physical and mental fitness. Coach Kirby, as we call him, also known as Maximus. Maximus, like the movie Gladiator. He personally coaches youth groups, high school, D1 athletes, NCAA athletes, other amateur and also professional athletes worldwide. You guys have heard of the UFC. The huge mixed martial arts event. He coaches those guys. He is a professional fighter himself. Really, he is a force to be reckoned with. He's energetic, dynamic, impactful. I mean, my words can't do it justice. And he's going to be talking to us today about leadership under pressure and the 5 things successful leaders do. But Nathan, before we call you up here, bro, I want to show him my favorite clip of you and your family. You guys check this out. Now, remember, this isn't a polished production. Forgive us, Ron, in your production company, bro. But check this out, guys. This is cool. Some of you have already seen this already, but check it out. This is Nathan and his family on the Family Feud.
Hey, Nathan, how you doing? I'm good. That's good, man. What you do for a living, Nathan?
I am a professional mixed martial arts fighter.
Oh, this man is in the hurt business. You in the pain game. What that MMA, man? That ain't no joking there, man.
Yeah. Actually, I want to show you something. Can I show you something?
Oh, hell no.
Not on you, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Not on you.
Thought you finna show me something.
Not on you, Steve.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
Steve, I want to show something on you, but I think I'll get sued. So this is my son.
Oh, that's your son.
Yeah, he's 17. He's undefeated. He's an undefeated fighter.
Oh, you're a fighter. All right, let me see.
Okay. All right, here we go, Steve.
I've been hosting this show 9 years. That's the best demonstration I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Man, that's the best demonstration I've ever seen. That's the best demonstration.
Awesome. Way to go, bro. Hey, are you on here, sir? There you are. All right, man. Let's get you unmuted and get you up here.
All yes, right. Sir. Can you hear me?
I got you now. I think so. Yes. Excellent. Let me see if I can make you the dude that everybody sees. Can you guys see Nathan? Let's see. Let's make sure that we will spotlight for everyone. Awesome. Can you guys see Nathan? Thumbs up.
Use the other video. The other camera that I'm using.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see here. How do I do that? So you have another one on here?
Yeah, I've got 2.
Oh, man, I got you in stereo. Let's see if I can see you here. Awesome. I don't see it up here, brother. Is this it right here? Let's see. Add spotlight right there. How about that?
I think that's the one.
All right, let's do it.
Well,
how about this?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I still think you've got me on the other screen.
All right, let's see here.
I mean, it's I'm using my phone and my laptop so I can type on the laptop, use my phone to present.
How about this, guys? Is this better?
Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know. You just let everybody know I'm trying to see the gallery view.
Awesome. All right, we got thumbs up from everybody. Thank you guys for your patience. Awesome. Way to go. So Coach Nathan, thank you, brother. Thank you for being here. And you guys are in for a treat because not only did you get to see Nathan, you know, he is an actor. And let me tell you, he's got some really wonderful perspectives about how he leads men out of addiction, how he leads people of all sorts of, anybody, no matter who you are, in his, not only in his gyms, his MMA gyms in Arkansas, but just in life, Nathan. I mean, you are a wonderful force of good. You're a force for God,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you so much for being on here. So I'll turn it over to you, Coach Nathan.
Yeah. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Listen, this is, I don't use my laptop for Zoom. I have a smartphone, so I use it. This is the first time I've used a laptop for a Zoom call, and I have got gallery view on. Has anybody seen the videos lately coming out with the TikTok videos of somebody pranking their wife or their brother or their mother, thinking they're doing a Zoom fitness class? And then this is the first thing I saw when I saw all of you here. They think they're doing a prank, and they're saying, "Come on, get your fat butt moving." And they're supposed to be talking to high school kids, and the dad is just going, "Shut, will you?" The woman is cussing anyway. I couldn't help. Anyway, I am getting blown up right now. I've got a fight this evening that I'm heading to. I have fighters downstairs in my academy. I'm upstairs in a private room that I can train in, so I can have some quiet. The video you just saw with me and my family and my son, he's downstairs training with a couple other fighters. One of my guys is training for a pro debut. And this is just making those leadership decisions that we're talking about now. Handling, I don't even like to use the word juggling, because it's not a juggle to me. This is not my first rodeo. I'm able to make decisions based on a priority system, and this is a priority to me. So my decision was to either drive to Fort Smith, get settled so I can present, or stay here for my team. So I was here from 10 to 11:30 this morning, training and coaching my team downstairs, came up to set up, and then I'm leaving for Fort Smith. So we are going to be talking about leadership, and Keith has already brought up a few points that I hear. There's somebody else on here that had brought up somebody else. Laurette had brought up somebody else. I've been talking about leadership since 2012, since I connected with the John Maxwell team. And it's a part of me being a coach and being a leader, but then taking it to the next level has been impactful to me. But all too often, we, as I said earlier, this imposter syndrome, we have a role that we've either given ourselves or been given to us, and that role gives us some form of prestige or power or a level above somebody, and then we don't feel like we fit into that role well, especially if you run your own business. I know there's a lot of people on here that run and operate their own business, and we usually question ourselves. Are we doing what we need to do? Is that the right decision to be made? So I've got a few things. This is not how I roll. When I do my keynotes, I am ADD, I'm all over the place, but I promise I'm going to circle back. That was a little dig to the White House press secretary, my bad. But I've got a few tips for you guys on being able to manage the pressure of making quick business decisions. I've got 5 topics, 5 things. I normally don't do this. I don't even know when to stop normally. But since Keith gave me a directive of 30 minutes, I'm going to keep it in 30 minutes. I've got 5 things for you guys. Okay, so number 1, if you got notes, I'm going to try and keep it really easy for you so you have little sound bites for later. But I'm also going to give you stories. I love telling stories because they impact me. For instance, I'm a fantastic speller, and I'm going to blame all that on my English teacher. He would give me an ear to hear and an eye to see the word. I'll never forget the first time I heard this when I was in 7th grade. This man, Mr. Haber, gave me the vision to spell and to see things, and it was ravenous. And instead of trying to describe the word out of a dictionary, he was breaking it down and made me hear of a raven. And what does ravenous mean? And he said, ravenous is extremely hungry, and he's seeing this bird fly around and getting knocked off the road by semis, but he's so hungry, he's going to do whatever he can to go and get that bird. And so I've been able to, because of his leadership, because of a vision he gave me, I am fantastic at spelling. My wife, not so much. But I'm saying that story that he helped me, I build stories on things, and so it helps me hang on to information. So hopefully I'll give you some stories today. Number 1, if you're writing, taking notes, if you start nodding off, I can't punch through the computer, but I can also tell you, get off your phone, Ilya, keep your focus on us. I love you, buddy. Number 1, know the facts. Know the facts. One of my favorite shows growing up was G.I. Joe. You guys know what they say? and knowing's half the battle. The facts. So the better you understand the elements, I'm going to read this twice. The better you understand the elements, the stronger position that you can have on the decision you need to make. So do your research, analyze the information to help clarify the problem and inform the solution. I'm going to read that one more time because this is a nutshell of where we're going today. Do your research, analyze the information to help clarify the problem and inform the solution. What does that mean? You have some amazing technology at your fingertips, and why we turn to Facebook, I have no idea. But there's so much information out there for us, but we also have to take the information that we already have. There's a lot of information that we possess because of experiences that we've had in the past. And also, if we have the right people around us, there's a lot of business leaders that I know that have yes men and yes women around them, and they will never ever be challenged on information. And so their struggle, if you have two businesses and you see one business growing, this was what, I learned from John Maxwell a long time ago, one business that grows beyond the other, they sell the same widget, but this business grows. It's usually the law of the lid. It's the leadership in which they are governed by. This man only knows this much information, and therefore they can only grow to this. And you remove that lid. And sometimes as leaders, we have to remove our own lid. For me, it was actually how I learned this was physically through my own martial arts instructor. I had to remove him out of my life because he was governing me. And I had these passions and dreams to do so many other things. But because it wasn't his passion and his dream, he could care less how much I grew. And so now me as a leader and you as a leader should always ask ourselves, are we our own lid? And are we our people's lid? And if so, it's time to remove that lid. And to do so, which I'll follow up with the next couple, is not just having the information, it's just making the decisions, taking action on them. So the more you know, the quicker that you can work through the problems that you have. All right, number 2, this is one of my favorites. And I talk to my fighters about this all the time, and this is huge. And I could spend probably an hour on this alone. Visualize it, visualize. I want to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you 2 stories. Tito Ortiz, he's known as the Huntington Beach Bad Boy. Now, back in the early 2000s, Huntington Beach Bad Boy Tito Ortiz was making his reign in the UFC. And he had a Mexican flag and an American flag on a pole, and he would come out. He had a beanie on his head, and he's listening to some form of Eminem, and he's just pumped. You can hear him mumbling the words, and even he's getting the words wrong. None of that mattered, because I could go back and watch those fights, and I could see something in his eyes now that I have the information of what he did. And this is a lesson that he had taught me a long time ago, and I pass this on to all of my leaders, all of my fighters, but not just physically. I pass this on to the companies and the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that I go and speak at. I talk to them about this vision, and we sometimes lose what that looks like. Now, nobody could envision what 2020 was going to be. Nobody could. Well, I mean, Bill Gates probably did back in 2004, but none of us could have envisioned that something was going to shut the world down, and we were going to have to, as you said in the last segment, pivot. And hopefully as leaders, that's what we did to still remain successful. And just in my facility, this one facility, I made $250,000 here in Little Rock on a facility. And I'm saying that because that was in 2020, and that was going to be supposed to be a bad year for us. I mean, we even went to our tax people to make sure, are you fudging numbers here? Because we want to be able to qualify for certain assistance because of the pandemic, but we made way too much money here through a pandemic. So we pivoted, and that's the reason why we were able to. So going back to Tito Ortiz, while he was training, while he was backstage, and if anybody's ever been in a fight, I know Keith has, I'm not sure if anybody else has been at an MMA fight live, the pressure that mounts, the energy that is in the room. Now, all of this is going on while this guy's in the back room. He doesn't see what's going on. He's back there getting his hands wrapped. His blood pressure is going through the roof, and he's being checked by doctors. And a doctor says, if you don't lower your blood pressure, you're not going to fight. His stress and anxiety levels are going through the roof. And this is where we have to find peace. Tranquilo, mijo. It's what I tell my students. When we're talking about leadership and making decisions in high pressure situations, there's nothing more high pressure than being locked inside of a cage with another man and trying to ploy your set of skills. This isn't a barbaric thing. This is a smart human chess thing. He would visualize himself walking to the cage. He heard his song. He saw himself walking around the cage. He saw the people around him. I got my eyes closed because I used to visualize this. I hear people chanting my name when I was fighting, Kirby, but I can hear this and see this 2 weeks before I ever fought. And in doing so, this vision gave me the opportunity to put myself in bad positions. I put myself against the cage on my back. I put myself almost being knocked out and have to recover from a double leg. So when I'm talking about vision, what Ortiz was able to do, we need to do as leaders. And some of the best leaders are able to not just visualize. Here's the next part about it, and I typed this earlier, is we now have to paint this picture clear, which is one of the biggest problems I think leaders face today, is they don't clarify with their subordinates, with their coaches that they have, with their staff. They don't clarify the vision. And without vision, we can't go places. Without a direction, we just sail to nowhere. You know, there is Darren Hardy wrote a book, and he talks about from point A to point B. And if we drift just 1 point, 1 degree, we end up 700 miles off course. But if you have a directive, if you know where you're going, that's what visualization can be. So anyway, we make a prediction and you visualize the outcomes. And that's what we do as leaders. I make a prediction to my fighters. I had a fighter fight for a title in Mississippi last weekend. And I made a prediction. I knew how he was going to win. I told him how he would lose if he would have lost. And he won. He won exactly how I told him he was going to win. He was going to grind this guy out. I call it marinating him, just like I do with steak. Sit on him, marinate him, salt and pepper them. Little knees to the ribs and body shots. It sounds vicious, but we get control. And at the end of it, 3 men around the cage, Keith being one of them at sometimes, I'm a certified judge. 3 men around this cage is going to determine your outcome. If your hand is raised or not, it is a man who has never fought before. And so this allows me to help me with that imposter syndrome. This guy who's certified to judge professional mixed martial arts fighters who's never fought before, because he's been trained. He has information. He knows the facts. This is how some of our coaches struggle, because they're like, well, how can I coach a millionaire if I've never made a million? How can I coach somebody who runs 500 employees and I don't even have an employee? So vision, painting that picture for our employees is going to help, but having the vision for yourself is going to help. So I'm going to give you one more story. Maybe you have heard this before, but this is one of my favorites that I tell my students. John McCain was a POW. While he was captured, he was in a very small area, and he would mimic physically with nothing in his hand except the vision of a golf club. And he saw the fairway, and he would chip and putt and drive. And this is what he did day after day, hole after hole in his mind. When he was on that golf course for the very first time after he was released, he shot better than he ever had in his life after being captured, because he had already visualized. And there's this sweet touch to it as well. And this comes into another thing we're going to be talking about, is this repetition being the mother of all skill. So short-term effects versus long-term effects. And this is where we have to visualize what is going to happen to us, especially making these decisions. What programs, what tools do you need? Do you have the infrastructure? Do you have the leadership? Do you have the budget? This is all going to help you gain perspective if you have the vision. All right, moving on. Number 3. Nobody's sleeping yet. I see. Somebody's got a picture on, so I can't see them playing with their cat. Okay, number 3. This is what I call IQ versus EQ. This is data, and I just had a question. If you say data, I'm okay with that. I don't care how you call it. It's data. It's data. To me, I still see the Goonies. And Data had the contraption on his chest, if you remember the Goonies. IQ versus EQ, emotional intelligence versus intellects. Sometimes it gets in the way. Sometimes information is so overwhelming, it hinders us, especially in our decision-making process. Sometimes we get all of this information and we don't know how to process it. And Keith had brought up the pandemic, and that had messed with a lot of people. I'm not sure where you are on this Zoom call, but there was a lot of people that went both ways on this. Businesses were closing everywhere around me. I had gyms, facilities, and businesses closing. And then I had all this information of hundreds and another 10%. And I have all this information of what their infrastructure was, how many employees. If this was a business under 10 employees, they're the ones who's closing by June of 2020. So my wife and I have to process information, but yet we have still this understanding, we're still running our business. We're still communicating with our clientele. And we made such a pivot in our business, which had given me, if you remember the last phone call, if anybody was on this, I had changed where I'm starting this new online company, kicking off the second quarter of this year, Global Gladiator MMA, where I built a brand new infrastructure for my training curriculum. So I had pivoted. And so I could have taken the information, the data that was out there, and told my wife, it's probably best for us to close now before we hemorrhage so much where we have to bleed and then we have to go bankrupt. So I took that information, I took the information of my own knowledge and where I am as a leader and what we've done, and we've stayed open. And we ended up flourishing because of it. And I watched other businesses close down, which helped us because we gained a lot of students. And then also the fear of the pandemic. Again, and I can say this, and you can think about where this applies into your business, a fear that you have in your business. And it could be the budget, and it could be marketing. A lot of people struggle with marketing and budget combined, but the fear that was going on with the pandemic because of the information that is out there, it could be overwhelming. So you're going to have to take this emotional IQ of really, are we being smart about this? Are we being puppets and told what we should be afraid of? Are you actually downloading this information and processing it yourself? The very beginning, analyzing it. So IQ versus EQ, that's number 3. Number 4, we're going to move on. And this is a huge thing that I talk about all the time, and it is embracing the journey to find an answer. This is what I call being a student for life. Our ego gets in the way of decisions that we make or decisions we don't make because of our ego. And I say this because, as I said, that we have the certain people around us. We have to consider other people's viewpoints. We have to be open to receiving and us actually incorporating their feedback to us. Now, our ego usually steps in the way of that. We'll say, oh, that was a good idea. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's never ran a business as big as mine. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's never fought before. Our ego gets in the way of listening to somebody. And I could say this specifically in my business. Yes, I have fighters. Yes, I have pros. They're in the UFC, they're in Bellator. But you know, I have more than that. I have moms and dads. I have their kids. I am their coach. And you know what mom and dad struggle with more than anything? And most everybody on here, you are a mom or a dad, and you struggle with your kids, and you struggle with money. And that is the one thing they talk about all the time. And that is the most difficult thing for them to address. No matter what I say to them about their child, about their respect, disrespect, their confidence, the encouragement, what the mom should do, dad should do, they never take my advice. That is the worst thing that I struggle with right now as a coach over these parents, of watching them suffer, struggle, fall, and fail, divorce, separation. I have so many kids bouncing back and forth. And if they would just take the information, somebody else's viewpoint, what we need to do in our businesses all the time. I don't know if anybody on this call has it made, has done it all, and you are conquering everything, and that is fantastic. But we still have to make slight adjustments, can't get content with the information and the success that we have, so we continue to grow. This is why I say, be a student for life. My students come up to me with a question. My ego can say, because I said so, like every parent does, like every boss says, because I need you to get this done. Me, my heart is for other people to help them grow. And if I'm not growing, there's no way that I can help them. So I must remain humble. I take myself back to the drawing board all the time, and I will implement and apply brand new things. And I've done that this year. Actually, I brought this. It doesn't mean anything to you guys. And I brought this. This is something brand new. You like my chicken scratches? There's a whole bunch of stuff on here that you wouldn't even be able to understand or pronounce. And this all has to do with our MMA curriculum. I've been doing this for 12 years. Yesterday, I wrote this up because I knew it was going to help me coach them. I'm going to stay a student and realize that if this was my business, it is, but if I could give myself a new perspective, how can I make this easier for me and my coaches? So I made a flow sheet for them. And now I'm going to implement it. I'll laminate it, and it will forever be in the database for us to use every single testing cycle. Let go of your ego. Clear your head. You press your eyes. It's real simple. All right, last one. I am 4 minutes. I got 4 minutes, Keith. This is the best I've ever done on time. All right, number 5. This is where a lot of people suffer, and this was me too. Keith, I think I told you before, I was in the process of writing a book. And just so you know, if anybody has ever put out information online to anybody, they will hold this over your head forever. And my son even did this to me. As I talked to him about procrastinating, he said, "Weren't you writing a book? How's that coming?" Oh, he just threw that right in my face. So yes, I am. But I also realized that I wasn't taking action on it and making a commitment to it because there were certain things that I felt I wasn't ready for. And I could continue to put this out there like the book coach wanted me to do, or there's one thing that I have to do. I have to be in a feature film before I write this book. That's the one thing. I don't know why that is. I'm going to be, Lorette, why are you laughing? What? Listen, this is my dream. Okay.
I think you are legendary, number 1. Okay. I'm excited for you. Number 2.
I appreciate that. So I have to be in this feature film, not so I could say I was in a feature film and now write a book about it, but that is the one thing that I said I wanted to do. And I'm not going to touch this book until I do. So anyway, number 5 is about action and commitment. I was committed and I am going to take action, but I also know when I go back down to this, so we've analyzed the facts, we've made a decision, I developed a plan. Now we have to take action and commit. Analyze the facts, you make a decision, you develop a plan, and now take action and commit. Well, my decision was made before I can take action. So I made a decision. I'm going to be in this feature film. Here's the thing. Whatever you guys can take away from my 5 points, okay, whatever you can take away from today, if you don't, one, implement them at all. If you write them in your notebook, which I have journals everywhere that I travel with because I don't have no organization skills. This is just my failure. I have 17 journals and I go through all 17 journals to find that one thing that I can take to this business. This is just who I am. Back off. I will write journals and there's the information, but until I take it out of there and actually start implementing it, it's done nothing for me. And this is why we as business owners, as leaders, we fail on making these big, quick business decisions because of the fear of failure, the fear of not being loved. So let me wrap this up before I go. Made the plan, analyze the facts, made a decision, develop a plan, take action, commit. Once you start taking action and once you actually start executing the plan, it's so much harder to fall back into indecision, to contentment and procrastination. All it does is just once you get that wheel going, that momentum starts. And the law, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, John Maxwell talks about the law of Big Mo. That's a huge one for people and all. And a lot of us sit around saying, well, if, and we wait for this one thing instead of creating our own motivation internally, we wait for something to push us. So as leaders, we have to make decisions for those around us, for our families as well. But this is the last thing I can leave you with. Most of us fail to do so because of a fear of failure. And so I have a thing in my school that I do. And I do this when I travel. And I do this physically because there is no other way of teaching something, a point, because we could sit here. You're in your own comfy place and some of you don't even have pants on. I can't make you get up. I can't make you box when we do this thing. I can't make anything happen to you. You're sitting here comfortably. There's nothing that I can do. You're going to have to make this decision. Physically, when I'm in front of somebody, I make them physically do stuff with me because just like you talked about before is action. action. We start changing our body. We start changing the physical state that we're in. So I have to coach, what is failure and what does it look like? What's the difference between failing and quitting? So I physically make them plank. I do this with 60-year-old office women. Actually, they win this competition. That's a great thing. I make them physically get on their elbows and plank in front of somebody who's 20, somebody who's 25, the CEO. I have the captain of the team, and I have the grunt who is third string. I have this little tiny girl when I go to a school, and I have this athlete next to each other. And you know who wins? The little girl, the 60-year-old lady, because it's not a physical thing, because they're used to giving up and not failing. Quitting and failing are two different things, and most people will never know the difference. Go until you just cannot go anymore. I mean, complete and utter failure. Not when it's uncomfortable, because that's when they stop. Not when it's painful, because that's when it stops. Not when you shake, not when you, oh my God, I don't think I can. And then what do we say to ourselves? We look at ourselves in the mirror. I can't do this. This is tough. I can't. And then they drop. So my challenge to you is find something over the next week. And it doesn't have to be something physical, something that you know that you give up on way too easy. And a lot of things right now is addiction. You know, addiction just takes a place of something. If it's not pornography, it's tobacco, alcohol, whatever it is. When you can fight this until you absolutely fail and not give in, that is when your leadership will rise. That is when your ability to lead will rise, and you yourself will stop to question yourself anymore about being an imposter. Am I supposed to be here? You will know this is your God-given gift to be here. Thank you, guys. I hope I did not bore you to sleep. Matt's sleeping, I think.
Some way to go, Maximus. Let's hear it from Maximus.
Thank you, guys.
When I say get your clappers on, this is what I need, man. Well done. Well done, guys. Like we talked about, leadership, really good stuff. Anything that you guys want to ask Coach Kirby? This is a little Q&A session. And he had so much wonderful things to say. It was supposed to have been in your 30 minutes, but hey, bro, that's all right. I'm not complaining. Are you complaining?
What'd I do? I did 30 minutes, didn't I?
It includes question and answer.
Oh.
No, you did great, brother. I'm just busted your chops, man. You did awesome. But I don't want to leave. This was so good. I can't cut it short. We're doing good on time, guys. Let's come on. Remember, active participation. What you got for Maximus? What are some questions you guys have? Jamie said, amazing advice and motivation. Yes, Coach Maximus is always a favorite. But you guys come on, bring it. I've got a great question for you, Coach, or at least I think it's a question that I think is great for myself. I mean, what you were talking about there, when we begin the negotiation process, when we start to talk ourselves out of it, it reminds me of trying to sell something and somebody's, what do you call it when you lowball? When you lowball somebody, we lowball ourselves, right? How have you seen that with yourself and then with your fighters? How do they begin that? And what do you do? What do you do about that? How do you as a coach?
So it's funny you say this. One of my fighters, Solo, just lost his last MMA fight by judge's decision.
This was on the big show,
fight.
Right? Bellator?
Yeah, it was on the UFC Fight Pass.
Oh, that was UFC. Got it. Yeah.
He lost the decision. He won the fight, but the judges said he lost the fight. He instantly went back to, maybe I'm too old for this. He's 23. Maybe I'm too late. Maybe I'm not good enough. The doubts are creeping in him. The only way I can get rid of the doubt is to get him back to action and start getting him training and fighting at the level that he's capable of doing, because he trains with high-level athletes. And Ashton had beaten him before. So he questioned himself, how's this amateur beating me as a pro? I shouldn't be at this level. But Ashton is at this level anyway. So once we get him out of this fear, out of his own heart, out of his own mind, and just getting the facts on what he's capable of doing, knowing without a doubt that this is where he's supposed to be, and then we grow, then we can move on with him. The problem is that doubt sets in And if it is able to linger for more than a day or 2 days, you'll see the action. And then the result of that action is doubt, fear, insecurity. So taking action starts building this momentum back up. And then now he's on a high. We did 6 months of a boxing tour with him. He's never boxed before, Keith. He's fighting boxers. They have a combined record of 13-0. They have over 100 amateur bouts under them. One guy had 80 alone. He beat them all in front of Floyd Mayweather, in front of Roy Jones Jr. He beat them. He's undefeated. He just came off of this 3-fight tour. 2 weeks later, took an MMA fight short notice, lost a decision. Now he doesn't believe in himself that fast. And how many times do we do this as leaders, bosses, husbands, fathers? We got to get back into the action. We got to start taking those steps to get us back into momentum and into our state that God has given us the purpose.
Action. I love it. You know, what was it, Bruce Lee that said, you can't go 3 days without training before you lose, you begin to lose your effectiveness. But he didn't mean just physical training. He meant focus. Yeah, action, action, action. We got some great questions here, guys. I'll try to catch them all. Sarah said, words of advice on being in 100% execution mode, breaking the mental or even physical barriers. That's from Sarah.
Okay.
Or should I say, am I saying that correct? Shara? I'm sorry, Sarah, if it's Shara, please forgive me.
Yeah, it's Shara.
Shara. Okay, Shara. That's from Shara.
100% execution mode is like the unicorn. We all look for this and we try and recreate it once we feel it. Maybe it was the coffee I had. Maybe it was the scripture that I read that morning. I'm going to go read that scripture every morning. And so what we do is we try and recreate these emotions that we thought kept us successful. But the real secret ingredient is consistency and commitment. Because when you have that vision, like what I've done over the last 10 months now since COVID, completely revamped my striking system. My athletes are winning. I have people coming in and trying to train with us because I'm executing this. 9 and 10 months now of just constantly and consistently changing and adapting and applying and implementing. Not overnight, every night.
Well said. Thank you, sir. And Lorette said, I think you guys know each other, right? You talk about visualization. What is your movie called? What's the story?
Not my movie, but I did try an audition for John Wick 4. I did try to get on the Matrix floor for Stranger Things season 3, movie with Ryan Reynolds, but they just don't know my awesomeness yet. And I haven't had anybody call me back. I don't have an agent, so I'm just kind of freeballing this.
And that's so important. Relationships are so important, aren't they, man? And you could be sitting on a gold mine, but if you don't have somebody to dig the gold out, right? It's just
right.
So how are you dealing with that? How are you making sure you don't do what Solo did? How are you getting in that place where you're moving forward? What are you doing, bro?
Don't laugh at me.
Oh, never. I mean, always.
I watch American Idol every Sunday, Monday. I watch The Voice on Tuesday. I'm about to cry. I used to have a voice. I used to sing, but because of MMA and coaching, it's gone. You know, I'm very careful right now to not to lose my voice because I have to MC tonight. So the passion is still there. So when they get on that stage and they sing and they get a chair turn or a 4-chair turn, I have snot, tears dripping all over me. Not because I wish I was them, but because I can feel they see me. They know my worth. This opportunity. I got goosebumps. It's going to happen. I've seen this so many times. It's going to happen. I don't know when.
Thank
So
you,
I'm
man.
living vicariously through everybody else's success.
You're inspiring yourself. That's what you're doing. I love it. You got to keep
Yes.
going. And that's the thing, man. Everybody fails. One of my favorite things that we talked about in my birthday weekend, you, Greg, you and Nathan probably remember this,
It was terrible.
is to have faith. It doesn't mean you don't wrestle. You got to wrestle. I mean, we wrestle with faith. We struggle, right? You know, we get this idea that when you're successful, it means that you don't have problems. One of the biggest problems we have in life is thinking we don't have problems. I love it, brother, that you're inspiring yourself and that you're being vulnerable. Thank you. Jeff
Yeah.
asked, how do you achieve a high level of success when you are not the type A driven personality?
I'm 6'5", 270, and everybody thinks I'm alpha. I'm a wuss. I'm such a softie. I don't have to be type A. You do this because I said. Bro, I'm just honest and I say, this is what I think needs to be done. I start putting people in position that can do it that I can't. I mean, I'm so humbled. If you think you can do it better, let's go. Let's just get this done. I mean, most people think that you have to be maybe that type A or a certain personality, but people are still attracted to certain things. You know, my wife and I are completely opposite of each other, but we fit and it's perfect. So people do think I'm an alpha because that's my size. They don't know that I cry at home. He did it. You know, they just don't know how soft I am.
Awesome. That's right. And remember, you know, saying type A or anything, that's a great way to describe, but we have to be careful not to write a script of our own, right? Our own story. Because if I tell myself I'm not type A, therefore I can't, you know, oh man, you know, that's going on the bad path already.
A new limitation.
Yes, sir. You got it. And a couple more questions we can get to here. Greg asked, how do you keep people present? How important is this in leadership? Not stuck in the past or worried about the future, just present. How do you keep
That's
people
painting
present?
the vision. So when I first started promoting here in Arkansas, I've done promoted 28 events. When I first started promotion here in the state, I started building a vision because when I first came here, there was no legislature. So I sat on a board, I wrote legislature for the state of Arkansas. I put in a halftime intermission shows, and I started doing demos. I brought in Korean drums. I turned out the lights, and I spent a couple $1,000s on lights. The more I did, and the more I showed them how much of a show and event this could be. See, I left them with an emotion. They didn't just come in and see this event. Everybody talks about Valentine's Massacre, a show that I put on since 2006 in Iowa. It leaves them with an emotion of the most amazing night ever. There's fireworks. I had propane flames. I built this event and I brought everybody in on a vision. I had 50 volunteers, didn't pay them a dime, because I built this vision of what MMA could be, what the show could be, what we could give to the state. And they were happy to stay at the front, ripping tickets, working in the snack bar, working security. I had the military here in Arkansas, the Jacksonville Air Force Base. They would come and they would station and work my security for free. All I had to do was pay the local police department. But I just painted a vision, my vision, but I cast it to them and they were attracted to it. So there was no, I had the fear, am I going to make money off this show? Is the athletic commission going to shut me down because I didn't get my health insurance in time? They had no idea what was going on. All they did was feel this excitement and energy and passion. And once I showed them what this big picture was going to be like, and they were experiencing it, they couldn't wait to have it again.
Awesome. Well said. We also had another question. Let's see here. Jamie, love it when our kids throw back our own advice in our face. That means they are watching us and learning. that gives more drive to keep up with our own action and keep learning. We have some great kids to raise.
I want to say something. I know it wasn't a question, but Jimmy, you are absolutely right. I sat Thursday night with 15 teenagers. I have a teen night that is dedicated here at my academy, listening to them, being empathetic and understanding what they're going through at home. Their parents think, feel, and say this, and this is where they think, feel, and say. The biggest disconnect is when a parent won't listen, they won't adjust, and they are just stern in their authority. Because I said, because I want you to have a better life, blah, blah, blah. So my son, Ashton, threw it in my face that he was training MMA, doing jiu-jitsu. And I said, you need to go out for football. I don't want to do football. I played semi-pro football. He's like, I want to do football. I'm like, I want him to do football. He says, there's no reason for me to do football because I'm already training. I said, but we have 2-a-days in football. I train twice a day now. We're doing monkey rolls. We do monkey rolls in jiu-jitsu. Okay, this is not going well. He is negotiating with me. And my desire for him to play football was just about me wanting what I want for him and not hearing what he wants for himself. I said, okay, you're right. Same thing. We had the argument with college. I wanted him to go. We fought about it. I said a few cuss words. I almost punched him in his mouth. Not really. But when he decided what's best for him to know his route, that's when I said, okay, we have to, as parents and leaders, take our own personal agenda away and help shape their own life through their gifts, their purpose, why they're here, and help show them why they're here. It has nothing to do with us.
Well said, brother. Well said, guys. Thank you. Let's hear it for Coach Kirby. Woo!
Thank you, guys.
Yes, Coach. Motion and emotion. We're running a bit behind, but so worth it, my man. Can you do about 5 minutes of getting get your blood flowing? And guys, let me remind you, this is all based around our live event we do in Vegas. Of course, COVID shut that down this last year. We hope to do one this year in fall, but it's basically, if you will, imagine Rocky Balboa meets Tony Robbins, an event for men, where we really get down to the heart of it and get into, what it is. Now, we don't box each other, knock each other out. It's using boxing as a metaphor.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not type A. And you get to this place. I love the shorts and the shirt, bro. We get to this place where we open up our hearts and just really see how to develop this sense of vulnerability with each other so that we can decide what kind of man we really want to be. We hike in the Red Rock Canyon. I mean, it's vulnerable. Every man has their own breakthrough. I mean, I guarantee it. And Coach Maximus is one of our leaders and our main guy when it comes to the boxing and the MMA. So, Coach Kirby, if you guys will stretch it, get up. There's no participation. He's just going to help you with some of his world-class stuff. Coach Kirby, 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm looking for. Can you guys see me? Did I lose you?
I can see you.
Okay, sorry. I was going through something. Okay, so guys, just stand up. We're just going to move out a little bit. Try and shake it out. Move your desk out of the way. You don't have to punch anything. I just want you to start moving. Love shaking the fingers. Hands, arms, neck, chest. Easy, ladies. And then your booty. And then just move around a little bit. Shoulders rolling. Shoulders rolling forward. Give it a little crisscross. Will make you jump, jump. Arms back. Start breathing. Arms all the way up, stretch. Squeeze your stomach. And then let yourself hang to the ground. Oh, that's tight. Okay, so I'm gonna box, you shadow box. This is shadow boxing. Hands up, chin down, Just put your hand out here. If you're right-handed, put your left hand out. That's your jab. Jab. Now snap it out there. Give me a jab cross. Give me a cross. Give me a 1-2. There we go. Hands up, chin down. We're breathing. Double jab. 1-2. What we call a basic. Double. Basic. Snap. Long. That's what a long is. Long. Duck dong. 16 candles. All right, I'm going to be on this bag. You do what I do. Okay. Just kidding. You can't kick. Double jab. Now, drop loads. Hook. Hook. It's all hips. Hips. 1, 2, 3. That's called Jordan. 1-1. Basic. Double. Head movement. Light them up. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Light them up. Basic. Double. Jordan. 1, 2, 3. 2. That's your long. Long. Basic. Jordan. 1, 2, 3. Roll. Jordan. Roll. Jordan. Roll. Hook. 1, 2, 3. Roll 3. 2. 3, 2 is called a cougar. 1, 6. 3, 2. 1, 2. Basic. 2, 3. Jordan. 3, 2. Cougar. Double jab. Hands up. As my hands are down, but I'm my head. I'm still gonna hit you. 1, 1. 2, 3, 2. Roll 3. Lean. That's a lean. Lean 2. Basic. Lean 2. Roll 2. Basic. Lean 2. Roll 2. One more time. We're gonna add the 3. Basic. Lean 2. Roll 2, 3. Now we're gonna add a roll 3, 2, and you're done. Basic. Lean 2. Roll 2, 3. Roll 3, 2. Double jab. Light them up.
Awesome.
Feel good?
Awesome. Hey guys, if you want more of this with Coach Kirby, he is developing a fantastic online curriculum. I mean, he's one of the most sought after MMA coaches, boxing, because of his awesome techniques that are so unorthodox. People actually remember them. It's incredible.
Carol Baskin.
That's the deal. So Coach, thank you, brother. Hey man, blessings. Blessings on you tonight with your fighters.
Thank you. I
Give them
appreciate
all
it.
our love. I'm there with you guys. Let's hear it for Coach Kirby. Woo!
Thank you guys.
Awesome, awesome guys. Way to go. Awesome here. All right. Thank you, Coach.